Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 10th of July and today we'll have a look at Tesla that we talked about a week ago. I said it could break out bullish, and boy it did. A massive move, about 30+% since it took out its resistance. We were going almost ballistic. But what is now seems to be building up, first of all, the RSI is very stretched, 87. It can only go to 100, remember that. There's no divergence, however, so it could move higher. But I think we are ripe for a little bit of a correction. If we're looking at the weekly chart, as you can see here, it actually reached the resistance peak here back from December 23, just with a few cents. As you can see, 265.61 is just spiked above and closed below. I would expect a little bit of a setback, but then it could come back and push higher. The question is, how much of a setback will it be? And if we are looking at the volume, you can also see it's been very massive volume pushing it higher. So it's been a strong move, but let's see. I think we'll see a little bit of a setback shortly. S&P 500. A little bit higher yesterday, not much. I think we are quite stretched at the moment, but as you can see, there's no divergence, and the way you can see that is you take the horizontal line here and just add it there. You see it's very, very close indeed. So let's check. We can see here we have the RSI here at 77.42, but back here it was at 76.90, so no divergence, indicating we are likely to see higher levels on S&P 500 in the short term, but we are quite stretched, so a little bit of a correction is not unlikely. On the other hand, we do have the RSI on Nasdaq 100. As you can see, there's actually divergence there. We have the RSI lower than previous peak here, and we also reached 200% of this correction here at 20,483. That was our target. So I think we'll see a little bit of a correction, but I still trust your uptrend, and it could still push higher despite having this divergence right there. Moving on to the European markets. EUROSTOXX 50 seems to be likely to test the 48.88 support once again. It's not the strongest one, and it was rejected at the 5,000 several times and the cloud area here, so that's really bad news for EUROSTOXX 50. Also, we are still in negative sentiment. If it breaks back below 40, well, then expect a push down to around 4,800 level. DAX also quite weak after being rejected twice at 18,630. We are below 55 moving average. We are below the cloud. The 100 moving average has previously been a fairly strong support for DAX, but if it does close below, well, then we're looking at 17,875, possibly 17,620. The Amsterdam index still holding on a little bit above this rising trend line, hasn't closed below, but it is really under pressure, and also we've been warning about that for a stretched uptrend for quite some time on the divergence here. And with this bearish candle here the other day, that was the 5th of July, well, then it seems toppish at the moment. It really needs to take out of that, and that means a close above 941 for the uptrend to continue. We could see the 918 support being tested fairly shortly. CAC 40 also pretty heavy. Keep an eye on this for 7,464 support. If it's being taken out once again, then we are looking at 7,300. Finally, on the Swiss market, still range bound in this 11,955, 12,182. FX market has been fairly quiet once again, actually most of the week, despite Powell's speech here yesterday. Euro dollar hasn't moved much. It's hovering around this 108.15 level here. The key resistance 108.52 needs to be broken for further upside towards 109 and 109.50. If it can't do that, we could see it slide back lower. So it's really on a knife's edge, I would say, at the moment. Euro dollar, euro sterling, well, it's still holding on above 84.28. Cable trying to push higher, but also a bit weak, but I think it will get there. We are in a positive sentiment. There is no divergence. We should see it pushing higher towards 129, but when it will do that, well, that's a little bit up in there. But we are in an uptrend, and all signals are pointing higher on cable. Yen pairs still holding on here. We have a little bit of correction here. Dollar yen, it was very small. Let's see if it can take out the previous peak here at 161.95. Well, then there's potential up to 162.5, 163 level. We can actually say, oh, is that really the correction? That could be it. Then we can say, okay, maybe then we are looking at the 163 level, which is 161.8 projection of this little correction there. So, but let's see. Moving on to euro yen, that is flirting with its previous peak here. It's spiking a little bit higher towards 175. It is quite stressed at the moment. There is divergence on the RSI, but it could push higher. If it takes out I wouldn't call it a strong support, but if it takes out 173.49, then expect a correction lower towards 171. Aussie yen, more or less the same picture, spiked a little bit higher this morning, traded a little bit higher towards the 109. We are almost there, just a few pips from it. Looks quite stretched, building up some divergence. If it takes out, and that's what I want to do, if it takes out 107.89, well, then I think we will see a correction unfold. Sterling yen, and of course, more or less the same picture, trying to push higher. A little bit stressed, minor divergence, and if it takes out, and let's do the same exercise here, where we just say, okay, if it takes out that level, 204.98, 204.95-ish level, then I think we'll see a correction down to at least 203, possibly a little bit lower, but testing this lower rising trend line here. But at the moment, we are pushing higher, but that would be my stop. It's not a recommendation to do that, but that would be my stop if I was trading the sterling yen. The Aussie dollar slowly, well, not slowly, it's actually sidestepping at the moment, but it is in an uptrend. It should push higher after a minor pause here towards 68. Dollar Canada, I'm almost falling asleep looking at it. It's just in this range, so let's just push on to euro sterling. Sorry, euro Swiss. I think we'll see a test of this 38.2 retracement here at 96.50 shortly. You can see there is negative sentiment on the RSI, so we could still see a push down to that, and it was rejected up here at the cloud. Really needs to push back above 97.5. Dollar Swiss also a little bit of correction, could still push down to 89.12, the 61.8 correction here in 1, 2, 3 or ABC correction before I think it will try to move higher. Negative sentiment got rejected at 60, so it doesn't look too strong to the upside. So my bet would be on the downside. Dollar index, well, almost as boring as euro dollar at the moment, 104.26 support, where we also have the 200 moving average, and it needs to get back above the cloud, back above 105 for any upside potential. Gold trying to slowly crawl higher this morning here. Found some support at 23.49. I think we will see a retest of this resistance here at 23.88, and I actually do believe that will push higher, and it will take it out, especially if it takes out the peak there at 23.93. Well, then I think we'll see gold push towards previous all-time highs at 24.50. if it slides backwards, I don't believe it will, but again, you never know, and drops back below the 55 moving averages, which is actually rising, and the 21, so that's giving it some support. But if it does, well, then this trend line could come under pressure again. But we are in a positive sentiment, likely to push higher. Same picture on silver. I think it will push higher. There is no divergence on the RSI, which is in a positive sentiment. It should push higher towards the May peak. Platinum. Well, it got hammered down after being above 1,015. Extremely volatile. If you can catch these, then there's money. Otherwise, you can really be whipsawed here. If it takes out the 974 low here, well, then I think we'll see a push back to around 950 and 930. But if it can get back above 1,015, well, then the uptrend is intact, and it is intact. Higher highs, higher low, higher high, and for now still higher low. So let's see if it can push higher. On copper, key resistance at 469.60, it was rejected the other day. It needs to close above, and then there's room up to around 488, 490 resistance, and the 61.8 retracement. And if we do close above 469.60, well, then we will also have the RSI back above 60 threshold, meaning we will be in a positive sentiment. On the oil market, well, WTI, as we talked about the past few days, got rejected at key resistance up here. I think it could drop to around the 80 level, the 38.2 retracement at 79.92, could also be tested. We're still in a positive sentiment, but this was not a convincing move. I think 80 level, and then we could see a little bit of rebound. Brent crude has been lacking. It's already sold off a bit more heavy. We have 38.2 retracement here at 83.68, which has been very close to be tested, and I think we can see the 55 moving average and the 200 declining, the 100 slightly rising, but the downwards pressure. I wouldn't be surprised if we are trading lower on the oil market here in the coming days. Finally, on the US Treasury yields, well, not much to say, hovering around the 430 level, and it's still in this quite wide range here, with a little bit of bias to the downside with the negative sentiment on the RSI, and below all the moving averages, which are more or less all declining now. So there will be a little bit of pressure to the downside. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.